Welcome to Pilgrim Lost. Come walk with us while we explore life in hopeful motion. Hey, hey, hey! Pilgrim Lost Podcast! Special episode today where we are going to be chatting with the 10,000 step superstars. Superstar, 10,000 step superstars. That's right. I don't know about you, but I have on my phone a Fitness Pal app that I use. I use to sort of track, sometimes I use it to track my eating and my fitness and some other things. And one of the things that it tracks is my daily step count. And I don't know if you use Fitbit or just use the Apple app or whatever it is you might use. This is one that I mainly follow. And it asked me to set a goal. And my goal that I set was 10,000 steps a day. And I have to tell you that a solid 3 out of 7 days a week, I hit my step count. High five, Tony. Self high five. So I hit my 10,000 steps about 3 times a week. And on average, I probably am hitting about 6,000 steps on any given day. The reason I tell you all that is because I am really thrilled to talk to what I would call some step count superstars today. People who have gone an irrational number of days without missing their step count. No, not once. And the reason I want to start by saying that I'm like a 38% successful step count guy is I would hate for this episode of Pilgrim Lost, the lifestyle of a pilgrim, to be about perfection. I would hate for hearing people talk about the wonderful gift of fulfilling a goal as being the definition of success or the definition of goodness or the definition of being a pilgrim. The people we're going to be talking to are beautiful human beings, and their walking has been a tremendous supplement to their pilgriming through life. But I would hate for hearing people who have been so quote unquote successful at fulfilling their goals, that the impact of that would be shame, that it would be any sort of like, I'm less than because I miss days. I miss 4 out of 7 days on average. But that doesn't mean I can't still be inspired by people who set a goal and move towards it. It's sort of like when someone walks the Camino de Santiago and they get back and they talk about having walked 500 miles in 40 days. And we hear that and we celebrate that they did it without having to feel like, well, shoot, over the last 40 days, I didn't walk 500 miles. I must be a bad person. No, we don't say that. We go, I know, I celebrate that. And so I just kind of want us to celebrate sort of some friends and what they've learned through their 10,000 steps superstardom. And maybe we'll get a little inspiration to continue the pilgrim life here on Pilgrim Lost. And to get that started, I want to bring on my friend, a 10,000 step superstar, a business consultant, an inspirational speaker, a baseball announcer, Gunnar Simonson. Gunnar,
hey.
How the heck
What's
are
up,
you, my friend?
Now batting, Tony Chris.
And strike, and strike, and strike. You're at it.
I love it. He's out.
How are you, bud?
I'm doing great. So much. Just so thankful to be here on this podcast. I've just been fun listening in and just hearing some journeys from the trail. That's been fun, getting to know people's stories.
Yeah, and you're on the trail every day in your
Yes.
own way and in your own neighborhood. And what I left out was husband, father, friend, community member, neighbor, all those good things.
Yeah.
I would never want to define you only by your occupations, my friend. So, hey, could you just kind of give us a little bit of the backstory of you kind of devoting this intentionality to 10,000 steps a day? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for the opportunity. I've been doing a 10,000 steps a day as a goal. I too have a Fitbit, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It kind of set this automatic goal of 10,000 steps a day, and I thought,
Right.
all right, let's just do that. Let's try that. And that really came after a real health scare for me back in August of 2017. I
Oh,
found myself in the ER, just heart issues, and it really was a wake up call for me to not only change. I had to make some changes in my life as a
how
stress.
old were you when you had that health scare?
Yeah, I was 47 years old, 52 now.
47. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it was a wake up call for me. I needed to make some changes. I felt like it was kind of like my now or never, that moment
Right.
of like, okay, it's time to do something. And for me, that meant getting active outwardly, and really going on the journey on the inside and finding self. And getting active outwardly was something that I really wanted to have as a part of my lifestyle. I wanted to live a healthy lifestyle as I got older. Obviously, going to the ER will wake you up. At least it did for me. And so I began this journey of just getting active. And as I started that journey and ended up getting a Fitbit and like this 10,000 step a day goal, I thought, well, this is great. I mean, I didn't realize it's about 5 miles a day. It's certainly not the trail, right? And busting it out over there, which is fantastic. It's every step is meaningful, no matter where you are. But I
Exactly.
started this journey of really tracking my steps on November 4th, 2018, which would have been my father's 88th birthday, ironically. And I just thought, well, let's just do it one day at a time.
So that
Every day.
was almost 4 years ago.
Yeah,
How many days have you missed 10,000 steps over that almost 4 years?
zero. And
Come
so,
on.
nope, I
I
got
don't
it. I
believe
can
you.
tell you stories with near misses. Yeah. But it'll be as of yesterday. I don't quite have my 10 in yet today, but as of yesterday, it would be 1,345 days. And for me, it's just every day is a new day one. I didn't set out to set this goal of, getting steps for 4 years. Didn't set out to do something that was going to define me. I'm not defined by my steps, but what my steps
Right.
are doing is they're helping shape me. They're helping me become the person that I desire to be. They give me an opportunity every single day to be intentional and to be
Right.
present with
Right.
self, my neighborhood. If I'm not listening to things between my ears, I'm just listening to what's going around in the houses around me, and just walk and talk. So it's been an incredible journey of just slowing down, being intentional, and just being a better listener.
Okay. I want to get actually, I want to
Yeah.
you just said a bunch of things, but first of all, I just want to say, well done. That's amazing.
Sure. Thanks.
Um, Second, I want to say, you don't do it alone. Like this is a goal that you and your wife share, or at least some of the times you share it.
Mhm.
You guys walk together. Yeah.
Yeah, we do walk together. Definitely now that we have a dog, we're definitely we're out walking.
Yeah.
She does more on the fitness workout side. Ironically, the person in my life that's really crushing, steps, and it's not like she's setting out to get 10,000 a day or whatever. She's just being active is my mom. She's 81 years old,
Beautiful.
and she's walking her neighbor's dog. She's doing whatever, and she'll text me at 9 in the morning and say, "Hey, I just got 12,000 steps or whatever." But it's never about the steps. It's about just getting out and being active, and discovering things, being curious.
So, what we really try and focus on at Pilgrim Lost is kind of the holistic life. Like, how do we be healthy in how do we be brain healthy? How do we be body healthy? How do we be heart healthy? How do we be community and relationally healthy? It's not just about, hey, let's go out and walk as far as possible. That's a
Yeah.
metaphor of every area of life.
Yeah.
Could you talk just a little bit about the physical journey you've been on as far as just taking care of your body,
Yeah.
getting healthy, making
Yeah.
sure you got some longevity, you're going to be alive to see your grandchildren, that whole
Yeah.
thing?
Let's hope. Yeah, absolutely. Again, as I was sharing a little bit earlier about just that trip to the ER, at the age of 47, August 19th, 2017. I'll always remember that. And beginning that journey of knowing I've got to do something, I've got to change. And as I began that journey of just getting out, getting with my doctor regularly, changing how and figuring out how in the world am I going to just eat more healthier. I was a stress eater. I had to figure out that's going to sabotage me. I've got to figure out, why am I a stress eater? And I had to start working through therapy on a weekly basis. You know, what's causing that stress? And because that's what the doctor told me when he sent me to the ER. He looked me straight in the eye and he said, stress kills. And I needed to find balance in life. And so I began the journey, and through going through that self journey of self and hurts and pains and things that were really causing me, having this effect on me of eating, you know, and stress eating and such, and began to work through, for me, this whole power of forgiveness and forgiving hurts and pains and self. That whole process over time really led me to a place of losing 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you were a big dude.
Yeah, I was. And, you know, and I always say you can't outrun on the outside what you're battling on the inside. At least that was the truth for me, and sooner or later.
All that like forgiveness process and internal processing of wounds and hurts and all that stuff. Did walking support that? I mean, was that part of like your meditative life?
Yeah, it was walking. Definitely fell in love with running as well. But walking, you know, definitely was a major part of that, because you know, I was going to therapy weekly and just working through a lot and doing a lot of just a heavy digging in life and letting go of stuff. I'm still working through it, to be honest with you. I still have stuff, but getting out there and walking, how I would describe it is a phrase that a friend of mine actually shared with me. It's a Latin phrase. I have it written down here. I think it's attributed to St. Augustine, and it's Solvitur ambulando. And it is solved by walking. And that is so true for me. If you're getting out there, whether I'm hitting trails like you and I, you know, we hit Cooper Mountain Nature Park that one time, it was beautiful, or even in my neighborhood, you know, and most of my walks, and even back then, I'm not listening to music or podcasts or audiobooks often, because this is an opportunity for me to connect with self, listen, and really work through and process the things that I was walking through with my doctors and therapists, and being consistent with that.
Right.
You know, I wasn't looking for a 30-day fix.
Right.
I just wanted to start working towards things that were going to help me become the person that I wanted to be.
Well, how did you get, you know, they say it takes 30 days, or depending upon 30 days, 40 days, depending upon who says, to establish a habit. How were you able to get to the point, or how long did it take you to get to the point that 10,000 steps, 5 miles a day became just average? It just became a day, you know, like I almost feel like I'm putting words in your mouth, but I'm missing something if I don't get it today. You know, how long did that take, and what has that been like?
You know, honestly, it probably took, you know, I always, you know, for me, it's like, I don't know that you ever really see transformation until it's in the rearview mirror. You know what I mean? It's not like I like set out like on this day, you know, it clicked. It became time. I remember someone that helped me with that about 6 months into my journey, and I'd lost a ton of weight. I was running, it's changing the way I was eating, and just really being accountable to my therapist and others. And he's a ultra marathon runner. I mean, this guy's crazy. He's running all these Ironmans, you know, whatever, fireman and all this stuff. He looks at me and he says, he says, man, you look completely different. Can I give you 2 sets of pieces of advice? And I'm thinking, I'll listen to this guy. Sure. He says, well, first get yourself a pair of Brooks running shoes, which was interesting. And I did. And then he says, keep it up for a year for it to become lifestyle. And, you know, and it just clicked with me at that point there. You know, and again, I think that's when it clicked with me to a point where it's like, you know, this isn't something that that I want to define me. I don't want people to say, hey, look, you're the steps guy. And it was fun with the intro and all that, which is cool and all that. But this isn't defining me. It's helping me become the person I want to be. What's the lifestyle that I wanted?
Good.
You know? And so it probably, I mean, I can tell you this, you know, because at the same time I'm working through just a lot of stuff on the inside, and the how that played out is losing a lot of weight. You know, it took months for me to even see a glimpse of any change.
Hmm.
Honestly, where I first saw my first hint of change wasn't in all of the obvious places. I mean, to me, it was in my eyes. There was a picture that someone had taken, and I just felt like, man, I feel like I'm coming alive. I'm feeling
Yep.
like I'm feeling more comfortable in my own skin. I'm feeling,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
But you know, I just knew that I had to trust the process and just get
Yep.
after it. Be patient.
And I've told you this before, and I hope I'm not betraying something, but I saw a change. I mean, I saw there's a way the first however many years I knew you, I always kind of felt like you were kind of playing roles. Like you were kind of trying to be a guy. You were trying to be the good guy that people would like, and you did it very effectively. Like everybody likes you, and I mean,
Sure.
you and I are interesting friends because you're definitely a glass half full guy, like
Yeah.
always use the positive, and I'm definitely now what's
Yeah.
wrong with this scene and how could it be better? You know, that's a little bit more my orientation.
I love it.
But there's been a rebirth in you that I've really been honored to just be a friend to and witness.
Well, thank you. I mean, and it's been a journey. I mean, you know, you're absolutely 1,000% right. I mean, that's who I was. And, you know, I still work through that. It's not like I've arrived, you know, I
Right.
have those times in that I was really good at putting a mask on and holding, and I'd hold people, you know, I wanted to play the role. I wanted to
Right.
be relevant. I wanted to allow things that I did be somehow my identity.
Right.
And that's what this whole journey really has helped me is strip away a lot of stuff. And I'm still
Right.
working through it. It's
Right.
helped me really get a clearer picture of who I am and
Right.
feeling I don't need to prove myself to Tony or anyone else. I just be me.
Right.
Right. And I always tried to prove myself. And I'd always walk away just feeling so, oh man, I did it again, you know?
Yeah. So this is totally off script,
Love
but
it. That's good.
so if there's one thing you're known like out in the world for is being a social media like master, like guy who understands social media. You were an early adapter to Twitter and a bunch of things. And I know you've done a lot of corporate advising around social media and marketing and things.
Mhm.
And one of the big evils of social media is it allows us to project a false self,
Yeah.
to put forward some version of ourselves we want people to think that we are.
Mhm.
And yet they never get to know who we truly are. And we do that as a protective mechanism,
Mhm.
right? Because as long as you don't know the real me,
Yeah.
you can't actually hurt me. You can only hurt the false me, which means I am always protected.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
100%.
I hear that when you were just talking about, you know, how you walked around in the world and there was this protective, good guy, please like me. And I'm so glad you're on this journey of this internal journey of authenticity.
Well, I appreciate that, and I receive that. I mean, that's so much the truth. I mean, my wounds over life have been, you know, things that led to a real fear of rejection, fear of abandonment.
Mm,
You know, and so you put that projection out there, and you're just afraid. I mean, matter of fact, one of the things I was known for years is through social media is this you matter. You know, I mean, you matter. Everybody matters, and yet the truth was I didn't believe that for myself.
there you go.
You know, and so this whole journey has really helped bring me to a place of it's helping me become the person that I want to become, but also just giving me perspective on just who I truly am and just feeling comfortable, more comfortable in my skin than I ever have. You know, and so it's been every step counts. There's a lot can happen, as you know, when you're on the trail, right? I mean, every single day. I mean, I was reading an article where you're getting, you know, one guy's got anywhere from 24 to 54,000 steps a day on the trail out there when you're over there doing that. I mean, there's so much can happen between step 1 and step 10,000.
Right.
And I'm learning, you know, over this journey, it's helping me learn to not only be patient, but to be present, being present with self, being present with my neighborhood, being present with just, you know, the neighbors and what's getting lost in discovery every
Mm,
single day. And that adds life to life. That's something I learned from my mom. I mean, at 81 years old, I mean, she just gets lost in discovery every single day when she's out getting steps, people she meets or someone's lawn, or she's always calling me. She's curious.
Hmm.
And I want to be like mom at 81, you know, I mean, I want to stay curious. I want to be present and really get lost in that discovery. And that's what this has been teaching me. And hopefully how it's played out is a calmer G, you know, as a little bit
Right.
less relaxed and, you know, maybe not have to prove myself so much anymore and just be me.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
This is my friend Gunnar. I'm so glad he came on. 10,000 steps superstar, but that's not who he is.
No.
He's so much more. Gunnar, before you go, any last things you want to say you haven't had a chance to say?
You know what? It's an honor to be on this podcast with you. I mean, you're worth every step, you know, no matter how many it is, whether it's 10,000 a day or 5, 6, 7. It's just, for me, I just want to get the most out of each step and just learn and grow. But, you know, that's just my goal. Doesn't need to be your goal, you know, because it's my lifestyle. And so, but you matter every step. I can say that now because I believe it now, Tony. How's that?
Okay. All right. That's glass half full. Gunnar Simonson. Thanks so much.
Now batting, Tony. Thanks.
All right, everybody, we're back. We're back here on this very special episode of Pilgrim Lost, the 10,000 step superstar episode of Pilgrim Lost. And once again, this is not about perfection. It's not about, you know, having to do it every day in order to be perfect, in order to sort of have arrived at something. We're about progress, not perfection. And bringing on people like our guest today is all about just being inspired by what's possible without having it be mandatory, and incorporate some of those ideas into our lives. So today I'm so happy to have Katie and Doug Crane, international couple of mystery, parents of 2, grandparents of many. They are the of 6, grandparents of 6. They are the prime example of you can retire and suddenly find your life more busy than it ever was before. And we're talking about the 10,000 step journey. And first of all, guys, welcome, and tell me a little bit about sort of your 10,000 step journey, how you got into it, and what it's been like.
Well, it probably starts with 2 back surgeries.
Right.
Yeah. And back surgery is no fun. And what the back surgeon said to me in the last appointment when we finally got released, you know, and you go on with your life, he said, if you want to do something good for your back, walk. And I went, okay. So we started walking. And then
I'm sorry, really quickly, I don't mean to jump in, but Doug, you had the back surgeries. Katie did not.
Yes, right.
You two have been married for, we'll just say decades. Do you want to say exactly how long?
51 years.
51 years. Okay, so you guys have shared a bit of companionship along the way. And then Doug, you had the back surgeries, and then it was like, okay, well, let's do this walking thing. So, okay, keep going.
And so we started, you know, we had known other people that were walkers. And so we started doing a little different routes and stuff like that. But I think the big change for us is when we found the pedometer on the iPhone. It was just a simple free app called Pedometer. And we started using the app, and then it encourages you to set a goal. And so we set the goal of 10,500 steps because it was just short of 5 miles. I don't know why we picked that number, but 10,000, that's kind of anyway. So we started, and we wouldn't do it every day. You know, it would be like, okay, oh, we only got 8,000 here. And then, oh my goodness, we worked in the yard, and actually plus walking, we got like up over 12, 15,000 steps, you know. But then what happened was the goal was there, and we pretty much started encouraging each other that it was good for us, that this was good for like everything, our marriage, and so on and so forth. And so the goal of 10.5 on the pedometer sort of became our benchmark. How did you experience that?
Yeah, it became a benchmark, and it's been an interesting journey because we've both easily committed to it because of the benefits.
Right.
And you know, you can know that the benefits are for our health. I mean, we're old, right? And so walking is good. We can still walk. And we're thankful for that. But we realized the other amazing benefit was literally walking together.
Right.
Right. So, you know, like you can sit down at dinner and kind of sort of look at each other and not say too much or whatever. But when you're walking, it's interesting because you are literally side by side. So you're not looking at each other, and it's just.
And you're dealing with everything that you're walking past or through or around.
Right.
Or,
like, so we see nature, and yesterday, wispy clouds. Oh my gosh. It's like we wanted to call everybody's attention. Look up. It's amazing. God's artwork, right? So anyway, there's that whole benefit. But then, of course, there's the real conversations, you know, where, you know, I realize that I've been really grumpy with you today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I've realized is that if I'm grumpy with Doug, I'm just grumpy, right? Because I'm not going to be grumpy with my neighbor, you know, but I mean, then I need to deal with something. Something's going on inside. And so it's just been an opportunity to walk and bring up some of those things. And
I think we do that every
through.
day because we pretty much walk every day. We've been walking every day for, let me see, the pedometer says 1,174 days. Today will be 175. So it's over.
You're past 3 years.
Yes, we're over 3 years.
And it's been interesting because we.
And how many days have you missed?
None.
Amazing.
So we do it in all weather and places.
Right.
And we've done some really crazy things.
And occasionally, our son doesn't say it's the best, but we actually will get on a treadmill if it's really nasty outside, or we're in a hotel and it's not easy to get out. We'll get on a treadmill, but Ben doesn't recommend it. He says it's not as good for your health as walking. He's a golfer, as you know.
Yes, he's a golfer. He's a master of fitness.
Yes.
And so he's going to want optimum, but you know what? Treadmill's better than nothing.
Right. Well, you know, really it comes down to keeping moving. You know, as you know, Tony, our friend Nate works us out on Zoom twice a week. And so we not only get walking, but we get the exercise in, and I leave the phone in my pocket and we get credit for a workout. You know, it's like, so steps, it's really, you know, I don't know if that's cheating or not, but we say that it's movement. And that movement is the healthy part. And if you become sedentary, I think that's the word, sitting at your desk too much, or couch potato, or any of those kind of things, those are the unhealthy things. So this goal kind of revved us up. And what's amazing to me is I know that we would not have been as consistent as we are if we didn't encourage one another, because we go through the ups and downs. And one day Katie will go, come on.
Let's get out the door. Let's do this thing. And it's not always one continuous walk of almost 5 miles. You know, we'll do maybe an hour in the morning and then catch it later. And, you know, so we mix it up. And we choose to walk around the neighborhood, which has been really good because we're getting to know our neighbors.
Really amazing. And all their dogs.
Yeah, all their dogs.
Say more about that. Say how it's affected you as a neighbor. I want to hear more.
Whoa.
Well, it's been interesting to see our neighbors and just ask them questions about how things are going, you know, and you get to know them more and more and realize what's important to them. And so then you can inquire, and, you know, it's just been fascinating because all the way down,
all the way down
2 or 3 blocks until we get to a cross street where there are really no houses. We're
in dialogue. It's amazing that you can live in a neighborhood and not be in dialogue with your neighbors. But when you walk by and they're washing their car or pulling weeds or, you know, just doing the life, you stop and you go, blah, blah, blah. And then
and then that one time when Aaron and Stein, he was exhausted. He had been cutting limbs and all that. It was the end of the day. It was dinner time. And Doug and I looked at each other and said, opportunity. So we ran home,
got our rakes and our bags,
to go down. And then it was funny because his wife came out and said, well, I guess I should help.
So all of a sudden, all of us are there cleaning up the yard,
getting it all cleaned up. So, we wouldn't have done that if we didn't feel comfortable, with Stein and Aaron. So,
but what's also,
and their dog Daisy.
That's what I was going to say. Daisy and Bo and Cash, and those are all dogs that they walk the dogs. And every time they come by, the dogs want to say hi. And sometimes they don't want to go on. They want to, and it's amazing how knowing a person's dog actually gets you into a relationship with them.
And then how the time the people were walking by and wanted to know why there were cars in front of our house on Tuesday mornings, which is Doug's small group. And anyway, it was a couple, and the man is now in Doug's small group, and they live 2 blocks away.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Walking, more than a car, more than being on a motorcycle, more than being on a bicycle, more than even jogging.
Oh, totally.
Walking provides this thing where, first of all, there's no barriers between me and the other people. I'm also moving very slowly, so I have time to notice. I have time to listen and hear. Or even running with earbuds in, I wouldn't necessarily have that experience. And then I'm sort of moving at the same pace as everyone else as they're in their yard and moving through their day. And it just provides for the opportunity for connection that maybe we just don't, that we've trained ourselves not to have.
Well, and then with COVID, right, we learned to move to the other side of the street,
right?
Which is really hilarious.
But you also experience other people's rhythm of their life. It's the rhythm of life that it's clear that every single day we plan our walking based on the weather, based on the schedule, based on the other things that we've got going on. It's like, okay, so, and so every day we schedule it, but you realize that when we're pretty consistent now with certain patterns that we have, people pick up on that and you pick up on their patterns. And that's very relational. That builds relationship in a very amazing way, because you kind of figure out what people are about.
And we also know, because we are old and retired, that we have the time, right? Like when we were young and raising kids and both working and, like walk, sure. Whatever planet.
Yeah. So this is a time in life that's really accommodated this, this goal, this, pattern of life. And it's been really good. It's been great for our marriage. I mean, honestly,
short accounts.
Yeah. We talk about everything.
What does short accounts mean, Katie?
To me, it means if there's something that I've said to Doug or Doug has said to me, or something that sounded a little off or whatever, we talk about it.
Deal with it.
Go till the next day or a week or whatever.
Don't carry the tension for days on end.
Not at all.
Deal with it. Get past it.
Yeah.
That's how
make amends, apologize.
Right.
Well, and then ask forgiveness. I mean, there's that difference between saying I'm sorry,
right,
which you say when you bump into somebody at the grocery store, or will you forgive me, which requires a response, right?
Yeah, it's interesting how it's not only been good for our relationship, but we have received a lot of encouragement from dear friends. When we got close to 365 days, we had a friend come over with a bottle of champagne and these shoes.
Gold tennis shoes. I mean, come on.
And so what we did was we looked at the pedometer and we got right down to, we needed another 1,000 steps, and we know how far it is to 1,000 steps. And they brought their 5-year-old. And so we said, we're going to walk together past the 365-day mark. And to do that, we got the gold shoes on, went for the walk, came back and had a bottle of champagne.
Are these friends walking 10,000 steps a day?
No,
Yeah, no, you brought them into your story. You're not doing it in isolation.
And another thing that's happened is that one of our sons tries to walk every day, and he knows our commitment to walk. So, I mean, he's on a different time zone, but it's really fun because sometimes he'll call us when he's on his walk.
Right. I'm on his walk. And it's a good time to connect with him. Sometimes we're on our walk. So we're walking and talking. and that's cool.
Do you guys ever listen to music when you're walking, or podcasts or anything? You just choose not to as a discipline?
No, the phone is collecting the steps, but we're not doing calls. We're not doing screens, you know.
Occasionally I'll look at who the call is. If it's one of our sons or our grandchildren, we'll take the call.
Okay.
Okay.
But I want also on the party deal, when it got to be 1,000 days, we thought, now that's cool, 1,000 days. And so we made a 1,000-day party out of it. And that
and a few friends came over and walked a little ways.
And of course, Jim came over and brought his video camera and produced a little piece. And we watched the pedometer until we got to 1, and it clicked over to 1,000 days. So we have a little videotape of our 1,000 days, you know, and we had what, 20 people?
Maybe.
Yeah, 15 or 20 people that walked with us. It was fun.
I love building monuments. to when we hit certain, you know, milestones in our lives or experiences, to build a monument. And that could be a celebration. It could be going out to dinner. It could be constructing a piece of art. It could be doing a photo exercise, or just taking a picture. It can be building a monument. You know, when you walk, you know, we often talk about the Camino de Santiago. One of the great things about the Camino is it does the monuments for you. You know, all along the way, you're being told, oh, you have 347 kilometers to your destination. Celebrate. Like, here's this moment, you know, you're at the 300-kilometer mark. You've done it, you know, celebrate this moment, you know, and often if you're walking with other people, you let out a little cheer and dance a jig right in the middle of the street, because it's great to have these little monuments through our lives when we do things. I think that's great. I want to push back a little bit on the we're retirees, so it's easy for us narrative, because it's never easy. And we all only have so many minutes in a day, and we choose how to fill them. And we choose whether to spend our day sitting in front of Netflix or going for a walk and letting the theater of our neighborhood be the story that fills our mind versus the theater that someone else has created. You two have one of the most robust travel schedules of anybody I know. And yet somehow you still manage to not miss a day. Could you talk a little bit about that? The busyness and the travel and airports and hotels, and Europe. You've been in Europe twice in the last, or well, at least you've been in Europe recently. I mean, you've been traveling. So, and Katie, you're going back to DC all the time. I mean, there's a lot going on.
The days of long flights are very challenging, I must admit, especially the international flights. And we look at that day and even the time change sometimes, and we go, hey, we really got to kick it here. And so we never go to the lobby, you know, in the airports. We walk the terminal.
Right.
And we plan, we plan with light backpacks and check our bags. Or even if we've got bigger bags, we'll walk with the bags.
Well, and even one crazy time, we were in DC area. We were in Old Alexandria, and we had suitcases, roller bags, you know. So we decided to walk to the airport. So it was a bit of a trek, and it got a bit tricky when we got to the airport as to how we could get through these different areas. Yeah. But anyway,
one time in the hotel, we were in the hotel and it snowed in Washington, D.C. It was a prayer breakfast that we go to every year. And it was snowy and icy out. So we were in a big hotel. So we started on the first floor, went all the way around, found the fire escape, went up one floor, then the stairs, and went around there. We did every floor until we got to our 10,000 steps.
It was a killer.
Yeah, you know what I love about that is the intentionality, the planning ahead. The let's take a small backpack on the plane so that we're not as hindered. Let's figure out a way to get this. And you have to, I mean, when you're flying internationally, you got to plan. There's only about 5 flexible days. And how many steps can you get in walking to the toilet and back on the airplane?
Not very many.
Not very many.
It doesn't add up very fast. The other thing that I was thinking about, Tony, based on your question, there are mornings. I actually had a little bit of this morning when I was when I got up and was getting dressed. I was going, this is this like religion that we're making this number is the most important thing. It's like, I don't want to do this just to be doing it. And I'm tired, you know, I mean, it's like, there's some days I want to lay in the hammock. So why is it? Why can't I just follow that urge? And, you know, the answers come back pretty fast. Well, first of all, I'm doing it together.
Right.
And so it's not just about me. It's healthy. It's good for our relationship. It's been a great, it's added to our lives in a very, very positive way.
Right.
And we're getting older. Why would we stop if we don't need to? So those kind of answers come back when you go,
There's an old adage that I hope everybody takes it with a grain of salt, but there's an old adage is that religion is just waiting for science to catch up. And, you know, for millennia, religious structures, global, have had these 40 days of fasting, 100 days of whatever, you know, these things where do these things every day because it places your body in a certain state, a certain, what we would call now a psychic state or or an emotional state that we're able to sustain. And now I mean, any sociological study says, you know, you have to do something for 40 days to build a habit. You have to do something for 100 days in order to build a commitment, you know, and there's these things that are done and they're completely secular studies. And yet they've kind of determined very, very similar things. So Doug, I would go, yeah, it feels religious. And yet maybe, as you know, religion in many ways is just a reflective structure. It's a meditative structure that has an opportunity to tap into maybe the way the human machine was made to function.
Right.
And our human machine does long for consistency. And if you guys were to take a day and just not walk and sit in the hammock, I'm willing to bet your feet would feel so agitated. Like, what the heck are you doing?
No, we'd be agitated. It's true. If I sit for too long, I'm agitated because movement is like life-giving.
Has become the norm, and you know that's great for your health, for your emotional health, for your physical health, for your relational health, for your neighborly health, like all these things. It's been really life-giving. And I mean, I remember when I walked the Camino from France all the way to Santiago. When I got to Santiago, you'd think, you know, after 20 miles a day that I'd be like, I should just like chill out for a couple of days. And I couldn't. I was like, I told everybody I didn't want to walk to the ocean, but by the second day in Santiago, I was like, I checked out of my albergue and I'm like, I'm going. And I just walked another 100 miles to the ocean because I was like, I can't stop. I just can't stop. And it's actually kind of a nice feeling.
It's interesting. A contrast to that thought is I've never done anything for Lent, but I think Lent is one of those traditions that you're talking about, and you give up something for Lent. And I really struggled this year because our church was doing something with Lent, and I was going, am I going to do this? So I struggled with what to give up. And I decided to give up my morning schedule because I thought that there was some redundancy that was mindless, and I wanted to wake up and do something different. And so I did that. And what's really interesting, Tony, is the way I chose to change it has now become the new normal. You know,
nice. Nice.
So I relate to what you're saying a lot.
I'm going to wrap up here, but you guys are so sweet and I just love you. And I love your testimony about how this has touched you and how you're committed to it. And I mean, I was saying before I interviewed Gunnar that, you know, I have a 10,000 step goal on my phone. I hit it 3 times a week, you know, and the other days I hit 7,000 and sometimes I hit 4,000 and it'd be great to do 10. But I'm super impressed because in my everyday life here in the city, I don't hit it all the time and that's okay. And I've appreciated it. Katie, anything you have not said that you would like to say before we go? She's thinking.
Well, yeah, I guess it's just amazing to me how, 51 years, 49 have been good, that our love for each other has genuinely grown. I mean, it just continues.
It's really been a good thing.
Did I say grown? I meant grow. that it's growing.
Right.
And we really do love each other more and more. I mean, it's really fascinating. It is fascinating.
And I have one thing that I need to say before we end up.
Yeah.
I say, because it's still morning, Tony, and we're only at 1,900 steps. And we got some walking to do. So we need to get on.
Get out of here. Love you guys. Thanks for getting lost with us. Everyone, this is Pilgrim Lost. Go to pilgrimlost.com. Go to our Patreon account. Thank you to all of our contributors who make this thing possible. On behalf of producer Mark, myself, the Cranes, Gunnar Simonson, thanks so much for being here.
Bye.